I bet you wouldn't even bootleg Sports Jam, let alone pay the $30-something it currently fetches. You scroll right by it, probably with some genre of, sports game, I don't need that for my collection thought. Look at what you're missing. This shiny man covered in e-lotion is the host of Sports Jam. I played this game at an ESPN zone once upon a time when they still had ESPN zones, and I was immediately hooked by its take on the wide world of sports. I have not played it since then. That was the only Sports Jam cabinet I ever found. Its availability on home consoles was brought to my attention at some later date, and I finally own its Dreamcast release. Its cover makes claims of convenience and value, boasting of 12 different sports on one disc. The cover art is so generic that I have to wonder about the number of kids who got this as a birthday gift from their video game ignorant parents. That number is probably zero since it dropped at least a few months before the Dreamcast's official demise, and it's pretty hard to find. I'm probably one of 3 people who remembers this generically titled game, but it's fun to imagine some spoiled kid throwing this game away because they wanted NFL 2K2 instead. Sports Jam's title is an ordinary one, but the game it identifies is not. Aesthetically, it's a sports game for sure, but there are no I formations or spread formations. There are no analytics to analyze or salary caps to manage. Gameplay showcases simple one-button affairs that take a few seconds to learn, and anyone can play them. Anyone. 2 modes of play contain each of the minigames. They're called Arcade Mode and Original Mode. They differ in how many continues they offer, and Original Mode unveils previously hidden content when specific conditions are met, while Arcade Mode keeps it simple. Sports Jam's structure is static regardless of mode. The goal is to complete 4 rounds by meeting each game's victory condition while accumulating all the points you can manage. Performance in each game is ranked E through S, and this grade is proportional to the total score. Finding the sports which you perform most successfully is the general strategy to attaining the highest score possible. Choosing the order in which you play each game is up to you, so it might suit you to pick the games that you have less success playing in the early rounds when things are not as difficult. Sports Jam advertises 12 sports games on its cover, but there are 15 you can choose from. These 3 extra games are recycled from sports interpreted elsewhere in the playlist, but they play completely differently, such as this one, which puts you in control of a goalie driving away pucks from the net. They are both hockey minigames, but its play differs a lot from the Pong/Breakout style minigame you see here. Minigames are either based on timing, brute force button mashing, or a combination of the two. My favorite out of everything on this disc is a driving range kind of thing. The goal is to get as close to the cup as possible, and you receive a hefty point bonus should your ball actually find its intended destination. There is a lot going on here. First, you have to line up your shot with respect to how fast the wind blows. It fluctuates a lot, but its miles per hour are locked in once you finalize the direction. Next step is to time the power meter carefully, place it near the best power indicator arrow for the best results. If your shot is too powerful, too weak, or out of line with how the wind is blowing, move the red dot for backspin, topspin, or side spin. My description is more complicated than how it feels when you actually play it, but there's complexity and depth to this minigame that is not represented in many of its counterparts. I do not like the touchdown minigame, unless you think painful button mashing is fun. It's the worst of the collection because it offers no break from the exercise. In most cases, games which do require speedy presses of the A button only demand them in short bursts, like the home run challenge. Cycling also falls into this category, and it's worth mentioning just because the track cycling it utilizes is a rare thing in video games. I'm sure the button mashing segments are easier if you have an arcade stick for your Dreamcast, but I don't, so I'm working with what I have. I love quick games with high score leaderboards. It gives you a chance to beat your records with a bonus instant gratification, but I've seen that done in snappier, more addictive ways than how Sports Jam delivers it. A problem with Sports Jam's way of score rankings is that it does not separate the score by difficulty. If you gain a maximum score on a game's easiest setting, it's not separated from scores on the leaderboard earned at higher levels of difficulty. Still, I find myself playing Sports Jam more than those games that deliver their high score mechanic in super superior fashion. With no depth or insight to the sports it portrays, and with mini games that are mostly timing exercises, I struggle to articulate what gives Sports Jam that special seasoning. It seems like a game which attempts to appeal to everyone but fails, but it's not that at all. When I say that most of you, avid players of sports games or not, will enjoy this, I'm serious about it. I think Sports Jam keeps itself in my rotation because of that kinetic, bright, perky style that a lot of Dreamcast games have. I take notice of this aesthetic in a lot of arcade games as well, but the Dreamcast was the best console when delivering this feeling. It's one that I have not experienced too much since Sega left the console business. This weirdo of a host might be a scary son of a gun, but Sports Jam would not be the same without him, and it definitely wouldn't be the same if he wasn't a playable hidden character. I don't know if Sports Jam is the best representation of the arcade aesthetic, or if it's the best Dreamcast game I've ever played, but it's greater than the sum of its parts. Definitely a game that deserved much better timing within its console's lifespan.